When it comes to food, tech isn't always the first thing that comes to mind. However, technology over the years has changed how we produce and find our food through applications, robotics, data, and processing techniques. According to the recent reports, technology helps food manufacturers to produce more efficiently for a growing world population. There are currently 8 billion people around the world, and that means a higher demand for food each year. By using technology to improve processing and packaging, it can improve the shelf life and safety of the food. The use of machines in the food industry also ensures the quality and the affordability of the food. By using machines, it drives down the cost of keeping the food fresh and increase the productivity. In the past few years, the 3D printing has really taken off across many industries, and the food industry is one of them. There have been several applications of 3D printing food, from NASA printing a pizza to creating soft foods for those who cannot chew hard food to consume. It opens the door for innovation, that being able to create many things that we were unable to before, while also being able to help with food sustainability. There are many ways 3D printing is shaking up the industry. So hi everyone, my name is Nikhil. I'm second year food technology student at University Institute of Chemical Technology, and in today's video we will be talking about the 3D food printing, its uses, where we can use the 3D food printers, as well as the challenges that are going to come up or arise in this process, as well as are there some 3D food printers available in the market. So let's get started. But firstly, what is meant by 3D printing? Before going for the food, in context of food, we'll firstly understand what is meant by 3D printing. From their name, we can have the idea that it involves the three-dimensional thing. Okay, the 3D printers can build the three-dimensional object in the physical form from variety of different materials. It is a manufacturing process in which the material of construction is laid down layer upon layer, leading to form a three-dimensional object, physical form. Okay, and this is termed as an additive process, in which we are building the object from bottom to the top, and it is a way opposite to the subtractive process. For example, the subtractive process involves the cutting, carving of the material of construction. Like for making the wooden table, we have to cut the trees. Okay, we cut the trees, we cut down the trees, we carve the wood, we drill the wood. So this is a subtractive process. So basically, we carve, drill, or cut the wood to achieve the desired shape that we want. And 3D printers have the ability that they can convert the three-dimensional data to the three-dimensional object in physical form. The 3D printing helps us to create complex shapes using less material, which can increase our efficiency. So now the 3D printing in context of food, that is 3D food printing. In 3D food printing, the food is prepared from an automated additive process. We use additive process here. After all, we have to reduce the wastage of the food, so we are not going to use the subtractive process now. We are using additive process in case of 3D food printing. You can consider a pizza vending machine as a primitive 3D food printer, because firstly the dough is prepared, then the toppings, cheese, and other stuff laid down on that base, okay, to form the pizza, and this process is carried out in a single machine. Hence, it can also be called as a 3D food printer. We feed the raw material into the syringe and extrude it through the food-grade nozzle, and to trace the shapes and form 2D layers one at a time. The point to remember over here is that we are not cooking the food through the printers. We are only architecting the intricate shapes and the designs. It works in a such way that the edible materials are ready for consumption, or we will be cooking them in an external oven once we completed the process of 3D printing. So it is like that. We are not going to prepare any food in the printers. We are just giving the shapes to that food, or we can be cooking that food after giving the shape to that food in the oven. But when we think about the 3D printed foods in real life, it becomes very challenging, because they are still in their beginning, and it has to cover a long way to enter the kitchens of the customers, normal ordinary people. Material extrusion is the most common process in 3D printing. It requires the paste in the form of input such as viscous food, chocolate syrup, and purees. For example, there is a machine called pancake bot, which only makes the pancakes. The batter for the pancakes is filled into that syringe, which is extruded out through the nozzle and directly falls onto the hot plate, forming the pancakes. But the problem is that no software or hardware is optimized for the specific challenges that are most likely to arise during preparation, during the printing of the food. We in the food industry use the software designed for the printing of plastics and the metal parts. To create printable food products, researchers have to mix ingredients to adjust the properties of the food, such as viscosity and the adhesion between the layers of the food that we are going to lay down on that plate. And in the food printers, when the extrusion technique is widely used, the viscosity becomes the most important factor of food. After all, a material is coming out of that nozzle, so the viscosity plays a very big role there. Since we are creating the food, it must be able to provide all the nutritional content as well as it should be palatable. And there is a very big difference between printing the plastics and printing the food. For example, in plastic printing, the nozzles hit the material simultaneously to its melting point, and the plastic later become hardened because of the thermoplasticity. We use mostly thermoplastics in case of the 3D printing of the plastics. The same process can work for some foods such as chocolate, but it is not viable for all the foods out there. It is a limitation there for 3D food printing. And many of you haven't seen any 3D printer in just normal life, because the 3D food printers are mostly used in government dining, in the molecular kitchen, or in the fancy bakeries. 3D food printing technology, it's not scalable because as it is going to require more time in the development. And one such classic example is when the two world-class chefs created a restaurant concept in London, okay, named as the Food Inc. And they were serving the 3D printed foods, but they went as far as having only the 3D printed furniture in the restaurant because it is not scalable. They started with the 3D printed foods, but Fooding, by the name Fooding, the restaurant name of the restaurant was Fooding, but I just went for the 3D printed furniture in the restaurant. What problem arises there? It is not scalable. And there are many places where you can see the 3D print food products, such as the edible birthday decorations on the cake as well, and the 3D printed pizzas and the plant-based meat. There is a German company who is using 3D printers to print the foods for the senior citizens who cannot swallow the food easily. In simple language, they are making the soft foods for the senior citizens who cannot deglute the food. And researchers are investigating that how we can counter the hunger, or we can provide the nutritional support to people in low income category. The C. Ananta Ramakrishnan, the director of the India's National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management, uses the approach to develop snacks fortified with protein and fiber that can be provided as supplements in government-run programs. It could be printed in a rotating array of carton shapes and colors on a local level and might be cheap to produce. His team has created 3D printable chocolate-based bars containing different amounts of protein and fiber that the children deem tasty in taste of acceptability. The NIFTEM aims to start the pilot trials of the snack in the schools next year to study whether they boost the kids' nutritional profile or not. And when we are printing the food, the question arises is that is it safe to consume the 3D printed food products? The answer to this question is that it is completely safe to consume the 3D printed food as long as they are prepared on food grade equipment and have been prepared in the clean environment. There are some benefits of 3D food printer, like we can control the number of nutrients, vitamins and calories per meal. It can be used for patients whose diets are commonly restricted. We can present nutritious plant-based food in a much more attractive way by means of printing, and we can feed that food nutritious meal made from the plants, vegetables to our moody childrens. We can share recipes as simply as transferring files from digital devices. But there are also limitations for the 3D food printers, such as the printer is not very fast. Usually it takes 45 minutes to print a detailed 3D model. The second is it lacks the scalability. It is not scalable, as we see in the case of Food Inc. restaurant. In the starting, they are aiming to just serve the food by the 3D printers, but as long as they are running the restaurant, they knew that it is not scalable, and they just shift their aim, that is from the food to the 3D printed furniture in their restaurant. The third limitation is that the edibles that we are using in the printer required pre-processing for their extrusion. After all, we have to maintain the viscosity of that input material, edible material. So it requires the pre-processing of that material, and before expecting the final product, we need to ensure the edible is well prepared for the extrusion, because if that edible is not well prepared, so it will not going to give us the desired product that we want. And one such best example in India is that we can print the dosas through the 3D printer. Like we are just pouring that dosa batter into the syringes, cartridges. We are just using cartridges, and that cartridges just print the dosa in just normal way. And if we talk about the market, what are the printer that is available in the market that we can buy, or if you want to research or something. The first is 3D food printer by Flow Focus. So it might not seem like much, but this small printer is capable of grand things. The Focus is a material extrusion 3D printer and is used by professional chefs around the world. It can be controlled by Wi-Fi and requires the reusable cartridges, syringes, and that can be filled with edible pastes. The Michelin star restaurant Smink in the Netherlands uses this printer to create its intricate dessert patterns. So many bakeries in the world are using 3D printers for creating the intricate shapes of the desserts, which can only be prepared with the help of the printers. And the Biflow food printer is currently retails around at 3 lakh rupees. The second is Foodini. This is one of the most high food 3D printers around the world. Natural machines Foodini can handle ingredients from chilies to the burgers. It can use 5 cartridges simultaneously, and Natural Machines has healthy nutritional approach, providing recipes for new users to get started before they design their own food. The cost to own Foodini is around same as the Biflow Focus, which is around 3 lakhs. The next is Museo. Museo chocolate 3D printer can process the chocolate chips up to 4 mm diameter, and they can be melt them from the extrusion, and it's quite sturdy. The weight of this Museo 3D food printer is around 25 kgs. And it is manufactured in China, and it cost at around 5 lakh rupees, which is costlier than the Foodini as well as the Biflow Focus 3D food printer. But what is the conclusion that we can draw from the 3D food printers? It's like that although the 3D food printing is still in its early stages, it has already gained the attention of experts from all around the world from the food industry. We are looking in terms of funny and exciting way, but it is much more than that it will going to solve the problems that currently we are facing. It includes the patients from dysphagia who are having difficulty for swallowing the food, as well as for the astronauts and for the soldiers on the battlefield, that they can print their own food with proper amount of nutrients, vitamins, proteins, that customizable food that they want. The 3D printing of food has the potential that it can help us to counter with world hunger and food sustainability program. So that's it for today's podcast, guys. If this podcast has added new values to life, then please like and share with your loved ones if you're the most. And if you want to know such more insightful things from the food industry, then please consider to subscribe the channel. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, stay healthy. See you soon in the next one.